Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share stories of leaders moving from invisible to becoming an influencer. I'm your host, Rahul Karan Sharma, and today I have an amazing guest. His name is Lyubim Kogan. He's a five-time first generation immigrant, Winter Olympian, graduate from NYU Stern, 9/11 survivor, and the founder of wingsforheroes.org, a mission that helps amputee veterans reclaim dignity, purpose, and joy through paragliding and adventure. Today, he's here to talk about what it means to keep a promise, especially when there is no script, no paycheck, and no clear path forward. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lyubim to our Climb the Confident Leader podcast show. Welcome to our show, Lyubim. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me here, Rahul. I'm really glad to be here.
Absolutely, and congratulations for being the number one guest at the pod match. So kudos to you for all the work that you do, my friend, in spreading your message.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I would love you to talk about your leadership journey. I know you have an interesting journey right from a corporate Wall Street career to an Olympian to a survivor of 9/11. Let us know what was things back then, what kind of mindset shift you had to go through to become who you are today, my friend.
Okay. I have to be honest and tell you that I've had the same mindset for a really long time. And I think that being a professional athlete, starting early in my life and I actually was still skiing while I was going to New York University. And to do both, I had to be really disciplined. And I will just fast forward 20 years after graduating. I saw my best friend, and he said, Lyubim, I'm just realizing that you in college, you were always talking about having your own business. You got to work for yourself. You cannot work for anybody else because
Mm,
you are giving away your time. And I don't remember being like that, but he does. And after 20 years of, he went first, he's the CPA, we studied for the CPA exam together, and it took 8 months. So we became really close friends. And, he worked for Deloitte and Touche, then Merrill Lynch, then he worked for HBO in Europe, and he actually worked for a big company also in Eastern Europe. Anyways, he'd done a lot of traveling, and then 20 years later, after getting an MBA from, I think he went to Stanford for his graduate work, and he
mm,
said, I'm at the point where I realized that you do need to run your own business. Now, I think that when you are working for somebody else, you can approach that as running your own business. And I think the fastest way for you to get ahead anywhere is to become reliable.
mhm.
If you think about the fact, like best companies hire best students. So if we're talking somebody who's starting out, right, or somebody who's just trying to make a name for herself or for himself, just realize that there are a lot of smart people out there and there are a lot of hardworking people, but there are not many people who are vigilant about keeping their word and really thinking about whether or not I should say yes. And many times it will be a lot more difficult to say no, but if you cannot deliver, you've got to say no. And what I'm trying to say is that I remember from early on that I just wanted to prove people that I can do the work. And I
Mm,
didn't care if I get paid. I read
mm,
books, I read books, a lot of our authors write about delivering more, and a lot of business consultants talk
mhm.
about delivering more than what you charge, and that's been my mindset all the time. Like
Awesome.
pay me comes probably it's not the right way to live, but I never put pay me first. But
Mhm.
deliver, yes, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah, delivering more is absolutely the go-to thing because our clients or our employers expect us to give our best whatever we can. And so, rightly said, Lubin, delivering more is the way to go. Now, when we were chatting in our prep call, Lubin, I learned that you survived the 9/11, you were trained for Olympics, and also you led in wartime Ukraine. How do
Mhm.
these extreme challenges actually translate into your leadership philosophy today?
Look, when you are going for big goals, you got to be ready to be alone.
Mm.
And I think that when you're alone, you have to lead yourself. And once you learn how to lead yourself, then it becomes really easy with people. Because for me, I always think that the best way to lead is by example. So, when I ran a nationwide company and I would walk into one of our gas stations and I would see the floors that were not clean, I would just take them up and I would take the cleaning lady. I said, "Come on, I'll show you something." And I would clean it and show it like, this is how you do it.
Wow.
So you have to realize that when you're the big boss, you're going to have to solve all the issues. Everybody's going to come to you and they're going to ask things all the time, nonstop. So imagine if you get to a position when you are in charge of thousands of people and you have tens of thousands of tasks that you have to solve, but you never really did the work before getting there. So your style of leadership would be just lock the door, and just try everybody else handle all the issues and you are not available. And if we're talking about a leader, not the boss, a leader is the one who is in front of everybody, doing the work when the work needs to be done. And I think that one of the best examples that we can see right now is Elon Musk. The guy has the work ethics. If you want to see what it takes to become the richest man in the world, then look at what he does. He finished
Mm.
serving the country and now he's going back to sleep at the Tesla factory because he cannot be disturbed. He needs to dedicate 100% of himself to his business. And that's the most successful, the richest guy in the world right now. So if he has to work 24 hours a day, and we all have to ask ourselves, like, how can we measure up? We have the same amount of time, but to compete with somebody like that, what do I need to do?
Absolutely. You said very well that if you are having big goals, then be prepared to be alone. Be prepared to go in that difficult path without anyone coming your way. And when you are alone, you need to learn how to lead yourself, and which automatically will lead to leading others, because before you lead others, we need to lead ourselves. So thank you for bringing that point. That was a big golden nugget for me that was dropped by Lubin. So again, appreciate it.
Okay, of
Uh,
course.
yep. So what actually, Lubin, in your journey was the turning point? Because you had a very successful Wall Street career in athletic dreams to founding something, a veteran empowerment nonprofit. What happened was, let us know. That is one thing is going in my mind. I'm not unable to solve that puzzle.
Mhm.
So share
Okay.
with us what went
I
that journey.
I think first of all, I always did what I like to do, and I really so all the things that I've accomplished, I accomplished them for me. And if I didn't start the mission, the Wings for Heroes mission, I don't think I would share it with the public because it was like a private thing. You accomplish all these things, and I felt like talking about it is bragging. And one of the biggest turning points was me realizing that I really need to reach people and sending that run-on sentence that I sent to you on the first introduction.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to say is that after I've learned everything I learned and I had all the life experiences that I had, I'm still at the turning point. And my turning point was saying, okay, look, it's time to, bring out the ammo and to show everybody what the parade suit looks like and just start talking about myself. So one of the things that I would like to share with everyone is that you will be in a position at some point in your lifetime where your name will be the only asset that you have, and then
Mhm.
it has to become the most valuable asset that you have. So all the commitments that you make right now with your career and with your very little spare time that you have, that's the most important part. Just think about that in 10, 20, 30 years, however long it will take, you will be in the position where you may be able to serve other people, whether chief executive officer or CFO, CEO, anybody, anyone who leads companies. And when you get there, there will be a lot of highly educated, highly successful people who will go against you. And then the things that you've done in your private time, how you allocated the most scarce resource, which is, your time, will be the thing that will make the big difference. So just to explain it just a little bit. So if you're starting out right out of college, just learning and reading and improving yourself, and actually that's what you are teaching, Rahul, like in coaching, when you work with a coach, you go through a lot of things. The coach is able to show you your blind spots. Like for me, it was Brian Tracy, sales guy. It was not even Brian Tracy. And for those who don't know Brian Tracy, he's one of the most successful speakers probably in history. He's one of the biggest guys. And I was working for American Express in 2003, and his salesperson came to sell us the tickets for Brian Tracy's event. And that guy he got the whole room going, doing things like you wouldn't believe that those were adults, inside of American Express. It looked like a zoo. And then he stopped us. The guy's like, stop and look around. And we all like look around. And he says like, why are you doing this stuff? And we're like, well, because you asked us. And he's like, but do you realize you look really silly right now? And we were like, yes. So it's like, why did you follow me? So his whole point was that, he learned he had the public speaking skill and he could command the room. And that showed me how inadequate I was. Rahul, that was one of the turning points where I felt like, I already graduated from NYU. I already traded in New York. Then I traded in Texas. So I thought I understand financial world. And then I realized, well, outside of financial world, there is a human world. And that's how we communicate within that human world. That makes another difference. So first you learn how to talk, and then when you get a chance, later on you can say, look, this is what I've done. And I think that's what's important to keep in mind, like when you're going towards big goals, when you get there, you will be really different than 99% of other people who just quit.
Wow. Awesome. So, how did Wings for Heroes begin, and what has it become today? Give us a snapshot of your organization.
I have to give some kind of time context so the listeners will kind of get a picture. And we're going to go back to 1992. Excuse me. In 1992, it was my first immigration from, well, former Soviet Union broke up in 91. And in 92, right year after I graduated, I immigrated to the United States. Then I spent, for 22 years, I didn't go back to Ukraine, just briefly before the Olympics and for the Olympics, but it was just like going to work, I don't consider that a trip. But I went to visit my father, was living in Kiev, and I have a little brother. He was 6 at that time. And it was in 2014, in February, I came to visit them. And the interesting thing about that is that the first person who was killed at the revolution that was going on, the protests, it happened on the next morning. And then it escalated. Then Crimea was annexed. And 2014 actually was the year when the book that I got to co-author with Steve Forbes became a national bestseller. I got an award in Hollywood. The next summer, I get invited to speak at the UN with Brian Tracy. And then a month later, I was on the plane going to Ukraine. And basically, when I was there in 2014 and 2015, I really saw what was happening. And what was happening was, it looked very much like 2008, 2009 in the United States, but it was not the cause of financial meltdown. There was a war going on. And I actually had an opportunity to take over or nationwide infrastructure company. It was failing. They really were in bad situation. And I said yes. Mm, Definitely not as the Ukrainian, because I left when I was 17 and I spent 24 years in the States, and I consider myself an American, but I probably said yes more than as an American, because we can do things that other people don't think about even trying. And after I said yes, then I really realized that the war was going on, because when you start working on a nationwide company, you have to go to all the places, and that included Southeast. So one time we were at the gas station by the highway, and I saw a guy without two legs rolling out from our store, and he went towards the highway. And I knew that there is no pedestrian way by the highway. And I just carried on. I had work to do. And then probably 15, 20 minutes later, we had a huge thunderstorm that came. And I am thinking that guy cannot make it, because it's like a 10-minute plus drive between the exits. So we got a pickup truck. I got one of our drivers, and we just went in the direction where the guy rolled on the wheelchair. And we found him by the side of the road. He was all trashed and mud and wet. And we got his chair. We put it in the flatbed, and we put the guy inside. And like I tell everybody, like if you ever next to a person who that even if you clean them up and dress them up, there's not much life left. Like he was really, you could tell that the light was going out. And we dropped him off, got him some food, some cigarettes, and I really think that it may have been the last act of kindness that guy experienced in his life. That was 2016. So fast forward 6 years, in 2022, when the full-scale invasion started, I saw a teenage girl without one leg, on the new prosthetic leg, limp out in the middle of a packed stadium. And she said, they can come and they can take our land, and they can even take a part of my body, but they cannot break me. And the stadium exploded. She just really blew the roof of that place. And that was the moment where I knew I'm going to do something, that I'm done thinking, that I made the decision, right? I'm starting right now. So the decision was made after I saw that. I said, I'm done thinking. I am doing something right now. Now, I am a paragliding pilot. That's what I love doing. That's my passion. If I wasn't doing anything, I would be flying or skiing. But right now we're in summer season, so I would be flying paragliders. And I remember the first time I flew, I was really scared. And like I used to go 60 miles an hour head forward, of a ski jump, and fly in a suspended upside down position. So I thought of myself as a relatively brave person. But after we landed, I was like, I don't know what happened. I'm just like shaking. And I thought that if I take a person who had an amputation and I put them in this extreme situation where, when you're going off the cliff, your subconscious mind knows that you may die, that it's so much stress that will block off all the issues, all other issues in their life, and will have that positive, stressful experience that psychologists talk about, the life-changing event, but we create that life-changing event in a safe environment. And plus we give them, 10 days to rest, relax, enjoy the sea. And that, from the idea when I saw that girl to flying the first guy, it took like a year and a half, because I would ask the government to say, I need a hero that is missing a leg or two, because we're going to go jump off the mountain. So you imagine how that was received. But, talking about the name, I done work in Ukraine, and the governor of our area knew me, and he said, okay, I will find you a guy. And he sent me our first guy, or first hero that we flew, it was one phone call. So it was a year and a half building the whole thing. And then the last, what was the most difficult, was solved in one phone call.
Wow. Wow. It's a very inspirational journey from how it started and where it is today. And I understand there are a lot of things, a lot of moving parts to have this noble cause that you are doing. It is about one thing to do it, and or to first is to think about doing it. That is one, and then actually executing it, which you are doing it phenomenally well. But I do understand that there are those operational challenge that also comes in, because it is a lot of cost that involves. And and sometimes when you are doing it alone, as you rightly mentioned, you just take those bold steps. So tell us, is there a way our listeners can support the cause that you are having, how we can contribute? Yes, we not everyone can travel to Turkey or Ukraine, but we can at least support through financially or through other ways. So let us know what kind of support our audience listeners can give. If is there a QR code, is there a website where we can just log in and donate our money? Please allow us to be
Thank you for
also
that.
part
Thank
of
you
this
for that.
journey, my
Thank you
friend.
for your invitation to Rahul. One thing I wanted to your opening had you started with how do you do it? Like you have these big things. There are so many operational parts. So my brain clicked into what I know really well. And what
Mm,
I know really well is the operations. Like my mind always thinks about operations. Like when I look at a big operation, I see little moving parts. And if you're in business and you're in a situation where you really need to figure out how to become more profitable, or actually when you're climbing from, sometimes you may inherit somebody else's mess and it's your job to clean it up. So in the whole operations process, you need to understand which parts are income producing, and you need to know where your highest margins are. And that's the
mm,
first place that you got to go after.
mm,
So when you're looking and you need to, when you need to decide what you're going to do, first you decide, I can only take one step at a time. So
mm,
that step that I'm going to take is I'm going to take that step towards the highest marginable and product or service I have, and see if I can scale it up. And that's actually how we survive. Specifically, running a chain of gas stations, if you sell one cup of coffee, it's the same thing as sometimes selling 2 gallons of diesel. So what I would do, I would get these 1 liter bottles and I would put like 6 or 7 of those on the table. And I would take one little coffee cup and I would ask all the people, I say, what do you think is easier to sell? 7 of those or one of these? And they say, oh yeah, of course it's easier to sell one cup of coffee. I said, okay, guys, I don't want you, I know it's a gas station, but I don't want you selling diesel anymore. That's my job because you sell it by pricing. But something that has 150% margin, you got to go after that. So I want to see how much more coffee cups you're selling. Like I'm not even looking at your diesel, but I'm going to be looking, and everyone starts selling coffee. And then that's how, and then you find the next thing and you just keep going. Now, the biggest thing is that in anything that you do, you need to decide, right? The
mm,
making of the decision it's the task that takes the most energy. You probably have tons of clients that are carrying these ideas. I should do this. I should do this. I want to do this for 10 years, right? Have you seen people that walk around 10 years with an idea?
mm.
Not yet. I've had friends who all their life they think about it. It's a perfect plan, and they think they just go, and it's like a domino. It will all fall into place. It will not. So you need to realize the first step is making that decision. Once you make that decision, you just make one next step. And the longer you go, the more people you will see dropping off. You'll see it in sports, in business, in relationships, in anything. The longer you walk, the further you will get. So that's one part that I really wanted to share with your listeners. You make everything you do is a long term, and you'll have your name, and it will be looked at later on, or it's being looked at all the time. And if you're going after a big task, it will take a lot of time and effort. So you have to decide. And once you decide, you just keep moving one step at a time and don't overburden yourself. And if you have a difficult time, Rahul has better strategies than I do. I'm just saying how it works for Lyubim. So that's make a decision and start moving, start executing. You can always adjust later. Now, I got my inspiration partially from the Red Cross. And the Red Cross right now has over 11 million people that volunteer for that organization. So it was started by one guy, by a Swiss banker in 1859. His name is Henry Dunant. He was traveling to Italy and he arrived on the day when the big Battle of Solferino was fought. It was over 300 soldiers. One side was the Imperial Army, France and Italy. The other side was Austro-Hungarian army. And when they done fighting at the end of the day, there were 40,000, over 40,000 dead and wounded in the field. And Henry Dunant, a young man who's a banker, he saw that battle and he says, at the end of the day, nobody was helping. They said they finished. Who could walk away, they walked away. Who couldn't, they were just laying in that field. So this guy went around the villages and he organized all the villagers and they pulled people out who were still alive. And they said that some churches had more than 1,000 people. After he was done, he went back to Geneva and he wrote a book that is called A Memory of Solferino. And The Memory of Solferino was so wide received that he was able to start the Red Cross. So Henry Dunant is one guy who couldn't look away. He started the Red Cross. Now, what I learned from the Red Cross is there are only 3 ways that anybody can help. Number 1, you can donate blood because the shortage is always there. And if you're donating blood, number 1, it's good for you. It's a healthy thing to do. And number 2, if you donate blood today, you can save somebody else's life tonight or tomorrow. It's that critical. Every state has a huge shortage. The second thing you can do is volunteer, provide service to any organization, to any charity, to any mission that needs physical help, like Soup Kitchen on Thanksgiving is one of the greatest things because you will see how fortunate you are relative to people who can't even have a meal, on Thanksgiving. And of course, the third way is to donate money because every mission, like our mission, we need funds to operate. I do most of the work myself, scheduling, going to physical therapy, making deals, driving, just all the things, being a partner for an amputee because they need +1 when they're working out. So even with doing things, all the things by hands, we still need funding. And again, it doesn't matter if it's our charity or any other charity, as long as that, giving back to people who are doing the work that I'm doing right now is extremely important because we are doing the work for everybody. I'm not just doing it for me. I see, like, as I'm balancing the scale, I was busy. I was in the opposition where I couldn't spare an hour of my time because I don't have it, but I could write a check. And now somehow, after going through all the life experiences, the table has flipped and I'm doing the work. So, if you are supporting Wings for Heroes, you are supporting amputee veterans that are real guys like this. The one in the middle just finished rehabbing today, 1 month. We saved his only leg, yeah. He was here in April and we found out he had major issues. He's just done today. He lost 7 kilos or 15 pounds. He just shrunk. It's amazing.
Sure, very good, very good. As a team, we will be putting in the show notes the website and how you can donate. It's all about making world a happier place, making the world more healthier place, and working towards a cause where, for whatever reason, we could not do it. We always think about doing it, but we could not do it. So let's come together and support Lyubim in this amazing work that he's doing for the humanity, for the kindness, and for the world and overall. So thank you, Lyubim. We really appreciate
it. Thank you, Rahul. It was nicely said. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Before I'll let you go, and before we move to our rapid fun round, I know not everyone is that fortunate to do what you are doing for multiple reasons. Can you share with us, when you work with these wounded veterans, what are some of the biggest lessons that you have learned? Enlighten us.
First of all, they don't need any pity. There is no need to pity them because they're super strong and they're super resilient. Sure. A lot of those guys and girls, they volunteered. Nobody forced them. And if you ask them, if you knew about the consequences, what would you do? Would do the same thing. So when you see an amputee veteran, that person has an inner world that we can only dream of discovering. Because as you would probably agree, Raul, that we discover our strength by going through difficult times, right? That's when you know how strong you are. When everything is great, there's no challenge. Anybody can live when everything is great, but they've suffered a loss like we haven't. So they show us that we are actually unlimited inside. You know, some of those, there's a guy who he's missing two arms and one leg, and he says, I have a 17-year-old kid. I just got to get out of here. What do I need to do? How do I rehab? How can I learn to function so I can be with my daughter? So, and another thing is that everything is relative. I think this is really important. You know, when they make jokes about, oh, you still have a knee, it's a dream of any, you know, assault brigade soldier. Yeah, and so they really make fun of the level of the amputation. You know, I have this much left, and this one has this much left, and they're really making jokes of each other. But they say yes to everything. They want to live a little more. How about this rule? I think the biggest thing that I've learned from the amputee veterans is that they're looking for positive experiences, and when they have a chance, they say yes, and at the end they say, I just want to live a little more.
Awesome, awesome. That's so amazing to learn from folks who have given their all their life, or probably all their what they had to the nation, and now they are struggling, but still they have positivity. Still they have that hope of getting better. And here, some of us, we have all the luxuries, we have everything, but still we are revolving ourselves into the negativity. So, team, this is another lesson for us: is be positive, think positive, talk to positive people, learn how to stay positive. It's a skill, it's an art, and it's a choice you make how to stay positive. No, thank you for sharing these learnings, Lubin. Now we are moving to our fun round where we will be asking 5 questions, and it's something that I would encourage you to respond without thinking too much, my friend.
Okay.
Okay. Here is the first one. What is one daily ritual you never skip, no matter how hectic the day is?
Morning stretching.
Morning stretching.
I can tell you how many days I stretched in the past 20 years.
Awesome.
So
Very
that's
good.
one I never skip. That's my exercise, yeah.
Very good. Your go-to food you can eat anytime, anywhere.
Definitely sushi.
Sushi.
And I live in a place where it's hard to find, so yeah,
Okay.
sushi.
All right. Very good. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Oh, I am 4 a.m. no alarm.
Morning person. Number 4, what's one leadership skill you wish someone had taught you earlier?
I would say I wouldn't say it's a leadership skill. I wish somebody would told me, Lyubim, like really spend time thinking about what you're doing and only do things that are meaningful to you. So it's not really a skill, it's more of a like you need to look into doing perspective into doing things that really move you, because then you're really powerful.
Wow.
It's not actually a skill, it's like you said, it's a perspective.
Got it. Got it. Thank you. Okay, the last one. If your career were a Netflix series, Lubin, what would be the season 1 title be?
It would be the same as the book that I'm writing with one of the amputees. It's called Above It All. Your dreams cannot be taken away from you unless you let them to. So I am not saying it exactly, but above it all. And it's about following your dreams. Yes, it's definitely about following your dreams.
Wow.
And above it all, we mean when we go paragliding with veterans, they are above it all and they can see the world from a different perspective. And if you haven't gone paragliding, you've got to do that, because you will see the world from a different place. It's one life experience that you've got to experience.
Wow. Above It All would be the title for his Netflix series. And it is about his upcoming book where you don't give your dreams, it's also all about living the dreams and not giving up dreams. Is that?
Yeah, so the dreams cannot be taken away. You can only give it away.
Give away.
Like, our amputee wanted to play soccer, right? He doesn't have a leg, but now he's the captain of his amputee soccer team.
Wow.
He didn't give up his dream. They took it away, but he said, "No, I'm playing."
I'm playing. Amazing, amazing. All right, so we had a fun time, learning about Lyubim, his experience from the corporate world to 9/11 survivor to what he's doing today, the Wings for Heroes, his organization. He also shared with us how we can support him and his organization for a better cause. Here are some of my learning from this today's episode, and I would love you to share your learnings in the comments. For me, the first one is when you are leading a big goals, be prepared to lead it alone. Be prepared to be alone. And when you are alone, what you need to do is lead yourself. When you are leading yourself, you automatically become trained and groomed to lead others. So that is number one for me. Number two is from the operations perspective. So it is more for people who are in the business operation is know where your high profit margins are, know the areas where you can make more money, as well as know the area where you need to work upon, because there will be 10 things going in your mind. You need to find that one thing that will have maximum impact. So that is my second learning. Another one, and there were many, but I'm just for the sake of time and for making sure that our audience get it. My third is how you can support a noble cause, specifically as Lyubim was mentioning from a Red Cross perspective. Number one, you can donate blood, and by donating blood, you save life of people. Number two, donate your time, volunteer your time. By doing that, you support this $1 million cause, a cause for million people. And number three, if you cannot do any of those, then the another fairly easier thing is donate your money. All these great causes need money, needs funding, and we all can contribute for this greater cause. So with that said, it's a pleasure to have you here, Lyubim. Good to know about your experience, good to know about what you're doing. We are all with you. Will support you, and I will encourage my listeners to visit his website, donate wholeheartedly funds that can help our amputee veterans. Before I
Thank you,
let you go,
Rahul. Thank you
Lyubim,
very much.
any
Yeah.
final word of wisdom, any final message for our listeners?
If something feels really important to you here inside, not here, but here, you just have to make a decision that you're going to do it and just do it until you get there. If you love it, then you decide and you go.
Wow. It has to happen here. You think from here, not from here, and make it happen. That was, ladies and gentlemen, Lyubim logging in from Turkey. And again, it was a pleasure having you here. Wishing you
Thank
all
you,
the
sir.
best with your future
Thank you,
endeavors,
Rahul.
and wishing the best for Wings for Heroes. Thank you
I
again.
really enjoyed this. Thank you so much. You're a great host. Thank you, Rahul.
Thank you. Thank you.